Marty Supreme is out in theaters, new film from Josh Safdie, starring Timothée Chalamet, Gwyneth Paltrow, Odessa Zion, Tyler the Creator, and Kevin O'Leary. Loosely inspired by a real person named Marty Reisman, the film was nominated for 9 Academy Awards: Best Film, Best Director, Leading Actor for Chalamet, Original Screenplay, Cinematography, Editing, Production Design, Costume Design, and finally Casting, which is the new category starting from this year. Story takes place in 1950s New York. Marty Mauser is a 20-something-year-old table tennis player, shoe salesman, and a hustler. He is selfish, rude, abrasive, arrogant beyond belief, all because he's driven by this relentless ambition to be the best table tennis player in the world, to become rich on it, and to popularize the sport in his country. And we follow him as he tries to juggle securing funding for his trip to the upcoming World Championship in Tokyo, his half-baked business endeavors with the idea of orange table tennis balls, his romantic triangle between a girl from the neighborhood and a once famous actress, and several other things that seemingly unconnected put him in deeper and deeper trouble. So very much a Safdie movie in terms of how anxious and stressful and chaotic it is, taking a page out of Good Time and Uncut Gems, but surprisingly, in my opinion, not as good as either of those two. There's something missing for me that would elevate this movie from just good to excellent. And maybe it's the amount of raw grit of its predecessors, although there is a fair amount of that here. Maybe it's the more guerrilla style filmmaking in those lower budget projects. Maybe it's the unequivocally irredeemable protagonists of the previous films compared to Marty, who seems to have the capacity to turn his life around at the very end. I don't know precisely what it is, but the movie didn't amaze me completely. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think it's very good. Well made on a technical level. The production design and shooting style brings the old New York back alive in an exhilarating fashion. Very well paced. The frantic editing and the constant jumps from one crazy adventure to the next means there's almost zero boredom. Shocking and surprising at times. I mean, the intro with the conception transitioning into the ping pong ball, great stuff. And then the bathtub scene in the middle that came completely out of left field and made me feel okay. Now I have no idea what the movie is going to do next. Great performances from everyone in the film. Chalamet is rightly praised, and I think he does a good job, but again, I don't think it's as transformative as a performance as either Pattinson in Good Time or or Sandler in Uncut Gems. On the other hand, you gotta admit, between him and the script, the movie does this fascinating thing where during the final match, I caught myself thinking, I don't know whether I'm rooting for this guy or against him. I don't know if I prefer him to win and be triumphant or to lose and learn a lesson. And that is a very cool feat to achieve, in my opinion. One more thing to note on the Chalamet front is that he's apparently trained table tennis since 2018, specifically for this role, and it really shows. I mean, the table tennis scenes are fantastically done, very realistic. I'm saying this as someone who's loved the game since I was very young. I used to play it a lot, and I think a lot of the time when it's portrayed in the media, it's very clear that the players are basically amateurs. In this film, it's not a problem. It seems like everyone has done their homework and it's done very well. And also in terms of the writing for Marty, I also want to mention how he's a fascinating character because he has opportunities in his life that he could turn into something good, but he's consistently rash and unthinking and sort of consumed by his quick ambition that he doesn't stop to take a breath and to really think about his strategy. And as a result, he lets the good opportunities pass him by, and he uses the sort of bad ones, quote unquote, to to get more and more into trouble, which I think it's an interesting sort of way to write your protagonist, your character. Kevin O'Leary was a scene stealer, going back to the performances. Fantastically smarmy and unlikable, a great nasty face of relentless heartless capitalism. Um, However, the two things that I'm not so sure about. One is as much as I mentioned the technical prowess of the editing, I think that story-wise, there's often a disconnect of the various sequences and adventures. It can sometimes feel like the characters are doing one little side quest, and then the next scene they sort of jarringly jump into something else entirely with little connective tissue between the two in an organic way. The biggest example being probably all the farmhouse sequences with the dog. I felt that subplot was a little bit too crazy maybe and a little bit too much. And secondly, I'm not the biggest fan of the ending, which yes, it is ambiguous and it can be read as either Marty finally growing up and abandoning his ego and being touched by this epiphany that he's having, or as Marty lamenting the fact that his life as he knew it is over and he's unprepared for it. Seeing his behavior earlier on in the other hospital scenes at the end of the film, where he does behave like a decent fellow and he doesn't seem like he has anything to gain at that point, I'm inclined to read it as indicating genuine change, which I think is a tiny little bit disappointing. It comes perhaps too quickly and too suddenly and too easily after 2.5 hours of being such a selfish tunnel vision man. Having said that, though, still a really entertaining film all around. I liked it pretty much.